Good evening, everyone. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Emily Nicholson. I'm one of the coordinators of the Dive for Ag project. My counterpart, Dr. Kristen Moore, is unable to be here this evening, but hopefully I will be able to answer all of the questions that you may have. Tonight, we are going to walk through a little bit, talk about a little bit more about what exactly you will be doing as a team, and then we'll walk through the software that you will be using to create your mini app. So as you have probably experienced by now, we have created these 5 virtual reality, augmented reality apps, focusing on rangeland, horses, dairy, aquaculture, and agroecology. It is your task as a team to pick one of these apps to focus on, and then create your own mini app off of that, kind of like an extension that will take the content of the app and teach us something about how that app connects with your life. So some examples that we've used in the past, if you have a dairy cow and you want to focus on the dairy app, you can tell us a little bit more about your cow, what breed is she, how much milk does she produce, that sort of thing. If you live in a suburban area and you have a flower garden that has lots of different pollinators, you can teach us about the different pollinators that come visit your garden. So there's lots of different ways that you can, different directions that you can go. But today we're going to be talking mostly about how you are going to do it. So you have experienced these apps, you've seen the Time Looper platform, but now I'm going to show you how you are able to do it. So I'm going to share my screen here. Perfect. Move it over so I can actually see. Okay, so we are going to be using the Time Looper XplorLabs software to create your own app. And from this, every team is going to have their own account. These accounts will be given to you after the team leader has sent in all of the parent agreements and all of the model releases. So after we have that for all of the members of your team, we will hand you your account info. So you're just going to go to XplorLabs.com without the E in the beginning. So it's XplorLabs.com. It'll bring you to the XplorLabs here. We're going to log in. I'm going to log in with my information. Oh dear. Try this again. I literally just signed in. And of course, right now would be the time that I wouldn't do this. There we go. Oh, how embarrassing. Okay, so you'll have your login information, both the username and the password. You're going to come up to My Projects, and then you're going to add a new project. So it starts out with this tutorial, which I encourage everyone to watch and listen to. It does a really good job of explaining things even better than I'm going to today. But I wanted to kind of walk you through an example as well. So I'm just going to skip it for now. And you're going to enter your project name. I encourage you to use your team. So if you're team 1, and then a title, which you can change later. So right now, I'm just going to do Dive for Ag Test. And then you will be prompted to select the base of your mini app. So in all of our apps, we have essentially a map that's been computer generated with Time Looper and a little bit out of Google Maps. But this is going to be what's going to pop up on the table when we open the experience. So you have 3 different options here. You can generate a 3D map using Google Maps, and I will show you that in just a moment. You can check out the library to see what existing different objects and maps might be out there, and you can upload this from your computer. So if you were at the Tinkercad webinar we had and you created your own 3D model that you wanted to use as a base, you can upload it from the computer. But I'm going to generate a 3D map here. Make this bigger so we can see. And for this example, I'm really going to focus on the 5 Dive for Ag apps that we have. So we definitely were in Oregon. So if you're going to do the map, You're going to find basically where you want to highlight. You're going to place your selector, and then you can resize this. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. If you're focusing on your town, you can talk about maybe your community garden, and you can focus on the community garden and really zoom in there. Because I am talking about all of our apps, I am going to bring it out to have all of Oregon, include all of Oregon in there. Once you have your area, you can click next. And then you start adding pins. So every team is required to have 1 pin at minimum, but you are always encouraged to add more if it adds more to your story. And I will say, and I know Dr. Moore would agree with me, the most exciting part about this whole thing is the creating. But if you don't have a good foundation, you won't really know what to create. So it's really important to think about the storyline behind the pins. What are you trying to teach us? What's the best way to do that? Once you have those down, you can then move into the XplorLabs and start creating. So I'm going to add a few pins here. You can move them around. So let's see, aquaculture, we did over in Newport. Horses, we recorded up in Joseph. We were over here in Boardman for the dairy. And then we had 2 other pins. We were in Prineville and Corvallis. So then you can go through and name your pins. You can definitely change these later. For right now, number 1 is our dairy app. Number 2 is our horses. 3 is aquaculture. 4 is agroecology. And then that 5th one we did was rangeland. So once you have an idea of how many pins, where you'd like your pins placed, you can move next. And then is the exciting part. Then you get to add the content. So if we start here with the dairy, we're going to add our content. And what's really neat about this is you can add quizzes as well. So if you wanted to create a learning goal, so you're teaching us something and then quiz us on it, you can definitely do that. Adds a little fun into it. But we're going to add multimedia. And then you have a couple of different options. So this is going to be what you see when you click on the pin, right? In our normal apps, you see things like the 360-degree video, the 360 pictures, the slideshows, the videos. Those are all options for you as well. So you can link to a YouTube video, which we'll do in a bit. You can link to another experience. So if you wanted to link back to one of the Dive for Ag experiences, you can do that. You can select from a 3D library. So your team really wants to use a 3D model, but they don't have the time or the patience to create their own. You can look in the 3D library and find one on your own. And then you can upload from the computer. So we're going to do that. This is our dairy. And you have a couple of options, right? You can upload your own 3D object that you created using Tinkercad or another 3D modeling software. If you have a 360-degree video camera, you can add some video. You can add a 360 image, and then a regular image or a regular video. So for this example, let's see. My video is not showing up, so I'm gonna skip to the horses here. Okay, so we're gonna do link to a YouTube. I have the YouTube here. So you would link to YouTube for a couple of possible reasons, right? One, you found a YouTube video that really describes exactly what you were looking for. But I encourage you not to make that your only pin, because all you're really doing is connecting us with something that's already created. This is another great opportunity if you have created your own YouTube video. So if you worked with your team and you put together some interviews and a couple of pictures and some video, created a video of your own, uploaded it to YouTube, this is how you would input it into the app. So for this one, I went and found a video on Oregon oyster farm. You can add start times and end times. I'm going to leave it as it is for right now. And you just click add, and it loads it up there. For agroecology, I have a picture, regular image from my downloads. Which one's that one? 7089. Perfect. So this would also be a time to upload audio. So on using a phone or a program on the computer, you can have a script, record the audio and upload it. I don't have any audio today, but if you had an audio file, you would simply upload that. So when someone clicks on a pin, it'll pop up with this picture, and then they can hear you talking about the different pollinators that you're able to see in the photo. So let's save that. And then the dairy. Have that one. 440, excellent. So this, you might hear an audio explaining how the students in the cheese lab are testing the viscosity of the cheese to see if it's coagulated enough to make cheese. Are there curds and whey right now, or are we still kind of at a mixture? Save that. And then I had a picture for the horses. Like I said, you can add any media that you want. I'm using pictures simply because that's the easiest thing for me to upload quickly. So you don't have to see me kind of searching through things. But I do have an image here. Perfect. So once you have everything uploaded that you want, you can click next and add a bit more information about the project. So down at the very bottom, there is an introductory video. So when someone enters your app right now, there's videos of Dr. Moore or myself kind of giving a brief overview of what the app is about. That is definitely something that you can do if you would like to, and that you would upload it here at this introductory video. You can add a bit of a description, add any tags you'd like to add, save it, and then view it. So to view it, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. If you have an iPhone or an Android or an iPad, you can scan the QR code and it should pop up as an experience on your phone, just the same as any of our other apps do. You can share it in a link. So if you have someone, you can email it to your team leader, let's say, or your mom and you want them to check it out or something like that. And then this new experience here is to view on the web browser. So I'm going to try that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's still new technology that Time Looper is coming out with. So we're going to let it load. And we'll try it. If it doesn't quite work, it will look like our other apps. So the key thing with the apps that you are working on is that you are using this to teach us something else. Okay, perfect. So to see your apps, what you will need to do is you will need to sign in, and hopefully this will go better than the other one. Okay, excellent. So as you can see, all of Time Looper's apps are loaded here on the desktop. But to find yours, you go up to My Explore in the upper right-hand corner, and your draft experience is here. So we'll go ahead and open it. I will view in VR. And here it is. So here is our backdrop, so we can see the state of Oregon and our 5 pin locations. So if we click on agroecology, there is an issue. Let's try something else. Part of this is because I'm trying to do it on a webinar while I'm also trying to share my screen, while I'm also trying to test the desktop version. So a lot of the glitches are because of that. But I will say that a lot of this technology Time Looper is developing and has developed in the last year. So when we started this grant, we had no idea what would be possible by the end of it. So you may come across a glitch or two. If you're having trouble with something, please reach out. So we're going to be talking with Time Looper next Friday the 17th at 7:30 in the morning. I know a lot of people can't make that. So once again, we'll record it, we'll post it online. But we also have issues with the technology at times in the sense that I don't know how to do everything. So Time Looper has been a wonderful partner. If you come up with something that you don't know how to do, you're struggling, something's not working, let us know. And we're happy to work with you and work with Time Looper and try and figure out exactly the best way to do that. It does look like it has frozen on us, which is unfortunate, but you get the general sense. So we go through the Explore project here, you find the pins that you want, you can edit them, you assign the content, and then you save it and view it. I encourage you to view it after any major change. I know occasionally when I was testing this earlier, I wanted to find a 3D model of a manta ray that was feeding. So I found that and it loaded beautifully on the computer, but when I tried it on the app, it would crash every time because the 3D model was too big. So I encourage you to try out any changes that you make just to make sure that things are still going well and that it will work in the end. A couple of reminders, because that's what you do. You're gonna pick an app, you're going to teach us something that connects that app with your life. So that could be your favorite food is ice cream, and you want to teach us how ice cream is made or the science behind how it goes from a liquid to a solid or something like that. Once you have all of that information, you'll figure out the best way to do that. Is it a slideshow? Is it a video? Is it a 360 video where you're sitting there making the ice cream, trying the ice cream, that sort of thing? And then you input that into the XplorLabs here, and we are able to share that. So during the sharing sessions, which are going to be the 23rd through the 25th, you will be sharing your app with other teams. So you're able to see what other teams are able to create, which I'm very, very excited for. Any questions? The technology itself may seem a little complicated, but part of the fun is getting in there and trying it out. So I encourage you to, once you have all your paperwork in and you're assigned your team login and password, I encourage you to get in there, test it out, but make sure you leave yourself time to create your final product, right? It's really fun. I've also created my own apps for like sharing vacation stories and giving them to friends so friends can kind of check it out, particularly my mother. I don't see any questions. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see things. As always, if you do have questions, please email us, diveforag@oregonstate.edu. Hopefully you know the email by now. So if you have specific questions about a content area, so my team has finally decided to focus on rangeland, but we weren't able to catch Dr. Arispe's talk. We watched the webinar, but we still have a few questions. Definitely send us those. And then as along the technology side too. So if you're trying to upload a video and it won't load for some reason, you can't figure it out, definitely let us know and we can help. Okay. Perfect. So hopefully this answered some of your questions on what exactly are we doing. Oh, it looks, there we go. How can I look at the 360 view from my phone since I'm not working on the project on my laptop? So the 360 is really, really neat. The 360 has to be captured as a 360. So if you're asking how can I load it or take it off from your phone, that I don't know. I could definitely check with the Time Looper team. Like, can we put in a panorama as a 360 video? I don't believe you can. There are special cameras that capture 360 images, which is what we used. We used the Insta360 camera. And that is where we were able to, how we were able to capture it. As far as looking at it, if it's in the app, if you haven't experienced it on an iPhone or an iPad, you can basically just look around. So if you have your phone here and it's loaded, it's a 360, so you're able to look all the way around. And I'm wondering if that question also got at, so I'm working on it, I'm building it on my laptop, but I want to see it on my phone. How do I do that? If that was your question, just wanted to show again another couple of ways you can do that. So if you go to view, this QR code pops up, so you can scan that on a phone or an iPad. So that should work. Or you can email it to yourself if you're able to access the email from your phone or your iPad, that'll work too. And if that didn't answer your question, ask me again and I can try and answer that. Next question, do the AR capabilities depend on the phone? Yes and no. So if your phone or your iPad can download the Time Looper app, they should be able to access all of the augmented reality or the AR experiences. Sometimes if your phone or your iPad is a little older and it's out of date, it has a harder time loading the larger experiences. So if you are in our horse app riding along with some of our horse experts, and there's a lot of data flying around in that 360 video, sometimes it's a little laggy on the older devices. But for the most part, if they can load the Time Looper app, then it should be able to do any AR experiences that you want. Other questions? Okay, so that's all that I see. Like I said, if you come up with any, please definitely let us know. Dr. Moore and I are very excited. We've been working on this project for a while. This is the culminating experience, and I love seeing what students are able to do with their own minds and kind of tying it into your life, because everyone has a slightly different life. And I'm always love seeing how agriculture and horses might fit into someone's life who doesn't have horses. So very excited to see what you do. If you have questions, let us know. Other than that, have a wonderful weekend and we'll be in touch next week. Thanks all.